I'd like to welcome the first panelist to the stage, please. We're going to talk about yards. Eleonora, Sam, Rob, Tim, you around? Come up. Morning, everyone. First question, how'd you like the chairs?
It's a good question.
Very comfortable.
Put this one.
They're a bit funky, aren't they? They're not
That's
quite
perfect.
the normal sofas that you would get on an event like this. You've got your own throne.
Normally at home I'm more like this, but
Yeah,
it's okay.
Okay, just quickly, could we run down the panel, very quick introductions of each of yourselves?
Hi, I'm Eleonora Pitasso. I work at Burgess, based in Monaco. I'm shipyard expert for the company and sales broker. Been with Burgess for 10 years and 20 years in the industry.
Tim Kershaw from Dunya Yachts. We are a shipyard based in Istanbul, Turkey.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sam Tucker. I'm a sales broker with Moravia Yachting. We're part of the Hill Robinson Group.
Good morning, Rob Luijendijk. I'm commercial director at Damen Yachting. 25 years working for Damen Shipyards Group.
Beautifully done. Well said. Let's start then. This panel is going to be about yards in 2025, but we're going to have an emphasis probably on kind of smaller yards breaking through. But let's just start, Rob, with you, with your feet in Damen. Just give us a sense of the market and the landscape for yards in 2025. How do you see things?
Yes, I think that, well, the name it says already, Damen Yachting. We're now operating on the name Damen Yachting and Namels because we expanded, let's say, the yacht building towards sea explorers and yacht supports, and refit, of course. That's a kind of diversity we implemented in Damen Yachting. We think that our diversification is our main strategy. You know, we are in yachts, we are in sea explorers, yacht supports, and refits to serve a broader market. Also, not to be too depending on only yachts, but also to see where other markets are going. That's not only the philosophy of Damen Yachting, let's say, but also of the Damen Shipyards Group. We're even in the group focusing more on big conversions of explorer type of vessels, like Ocean X, like we just contracted REF for a large outfitting job of 2 years on a 195-meter vessel, which is maybe not the project which would really fit into Damen Yachting itself. It's now been contracted by Damen Ship Repair. We work together, we cooperate, we provide people, but we're really looking into the broader market, what's happening, and to stay active, to stay alive, and to know where the market is going, and not only stick to where you are. And we have to, because we're a big company. If you talk about big and small, it's also a kind of necessity to look in a wider scale where you can be active in yacht building / shipbuilding.
Tim, I'll come to you as a shipyard guy. How do you see the market currently, and how are things at Dunya?
Yeah, I think really healthy. We've obviously been through an interesting time previously, in particular last year, but it's certainly picking up, and our inquiries are increasing dramatically. Our shipyard in particular, it's mostly coming from America and the Middle East. It's interesting to see what's happening in Russia. I mean, that market's going to come back, but it already is to an extent. I'm aware of projects being built in Turkey at other yards and some yards in Italy. So it's interesting what's happening there. But no, I think we're in a healthy position. Prices are going up across the board in shipyards. So that's always a discussion. And then you look at the second-hand market, and prices are starting to be dropped. And so we'll see how that responds. But in terms of inquiries, we're at a really healthy stage. And we're going to see what happens this year, if we're going to have a much better year than next year, which I'm sure we will.
Ellie, you've got your feet in many yards through your role at Burgess. What are you kind of hearing? What are you sensing out there?
Well, we saw in the last months actually a price increase in the new build, and obviously the brokerage market has been adjusting accordingly. Shipyards obviously are in full speed. However, we are noticing that, especially in the semi-custom segment, there are now closer availabilities and slots. So eventually, we are getting back to a more pre-COVID era with a client that can effectively find something into a couple of years construction into the semi-custom building. Obviously, there are custom yachts that are full and they still provide availabilities for like 2029, 2030. But we saw this raise in pricing, and obviously some of our clients have been converting into a brokerage deal, because on the same time, I think that Sam will agree with me, we got some premium availabilities on the brokerage market, and with obviously less price. So we see also an increase into the brokerage activity. So we saw these two things combining in the last months, and probably that will be the trend for the next year to come.
Okay, Sam, same question to you really, with your knowledge of the yards you work with.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the market really cooling off. There's a lot of macroeconomic instability at the moment. The big boom that we had during COVID is well and truly over. You know, all the orders that were placed in 2020, 2021 have probably been fulfilled now, and they've probably gone out the shipyard. So we're seeing availability times shorten enormously.
Okay. And what kind of headwinds are you seeing, Rob, out there? I mean, the current macroeconomic and geopolitical issues, how are they affecting you guys?
On the yachting side, let's say, I think everybody agrees that after we had when you talk to your colleagues, I think the last 2-3 years, sometimes we accelerated, sometimes the others accelerated. You can feel that, you know, if you have your chats about how's the market like. And for sure, it's more, well, if part of the market, the Russian market is gone, everybody can conclude that part is gone, so that part is less. So you have to focus on your existing markets, which you already had, put more effort into it. I think American market came up strongly. Middle East is coming up. But I think we all have to fight more for the deals, no doubt about it. And everybody has his own philosophy. You know, we are a semi-custom speculative builder, so we try with a good product, with a high quality, to be with a good delivery date and a good pricing to be in the market. Custom is not our focus. Every now and then we do so, but it's not our prime. So, and I know from the custom builders that it's the same for them. If they can find a good project now, they probably will take it, you know, because it's the same story for everyone. So sometimes when the market is a little bit more slow, then you have to rethink which contracts you take. Sometimes, and on the other hand, on the new series we did on the Amels 80s and the Amels 60s, we moved, of course, with the design from Tim Hayward to Aspen. We sold 7 of the 60s, we sold 4 of the 80s in a relatively short period of time. So on the other hand, there are good signs as well, you know. So, and that's what I said in the beginning. We, from our perspective, also try to look at other markets like conversions, which is maybe not Damen Yachting straight away, but we're part of Damen Group. We're doing naval, we're doing commercial, we're doing offshore, we're doing yachting, we're doing repair. So you try to level out sometimes the capacity as well between the different divisions to stay stable as a group.
So diversification is paying off for you guys?
Yes, but if you diversify, you have to be careful that you do it right, you know. You just don't think, if you have another division doing yachting work or we more commercial, you really have to make a plan to do it right, to manage expectations, also with your clients. So.
You mentioned there about having to fight for every deal. Tim, as from a smaller yards point of view, how hard is it for you guys to kind of break through and spread the word of what you're doing?
Yeah, it provides certainly more challenges being a smaller shipyard and also being a Turkish shipyard as well. You know, we are competing with the Italian yards now. Our pricing is similar. And so we need the right story and the right product to be competing there. And what you've seen happen with Turkish shipyards, certainly over the last decade, is impressive. We were once potentially across the board not known for the highest quality in the industry, but now it's undeniable that across the board Turkish yards are putting out fantastic quality vessels. And so we're in the right place in terms of where we are competing. But absolutely, it's still a story that we are telling, that, hey, look at these vessels in a different way now. They are superior quality to what they used to be. And thankfully, it's recognised by those in the industry, in particular the brokers. They are our biggest advocates, and they're the ones bringing us to the table on a lot of deals. So no, it's changing. I'm sure there's people in the industry that wish Turkish pricing was where it once was, but for the quality that we are now producing, it can't be. So no, I think we're in a healthy position, and it's all about communicating and showcasing what we've got. And us in particular, we've had King Benji out in the shows, and it's the best way to tell your story as a shipyard. Get your boats into shows and show people that quality. Yeah, we can all stand here and talk about it, but you've actually got to show what you're delivering. And so from our side, to be jumping up and up in this global market, it's all thanks to us putting our product in front of people.
Yeah, just on the back of that, as a broker, I'd certainly recommend most Turkish shipyards. I mean, just like any shipyard, you want to go in with the correct legal representation and a good idea about the shipyard's financials. But I would certainly recommend Turkish build. The quality is getting there. If not, the quality is there. The price is very competitive, and depending on the client, it could be a great option.
Ellie, how do you go about sort of spreading the word of these smaller yards? How important is your role as a broker there?
Well, actually, what we are really looking when recommending a new build to a client, obviously there is the big yard and there is the small yard, but I think that at the end of the day, it's really what the client wants to achieve, what the shipyard can achieve with the client, what is the quality, and what the shipyard can deliver. We only tend just to see the product, but actually it's becoming essential today to look also after the service and the customer care. I saw also a lot of changes into this kind of market. 15 years ago, most of yards were just relying on dealers, and they didn't have their proper commercial team. And now most of the yards have their own commercial team, active director, sales managers that are interacting with the brokers, with the dealers, and obviously with direct clients. So I think that it's very important also to mind that when we are speaking with a client, because we need to be aware where there can be also the human challenges, because obviously everybody says it's going to be a smooth road, but we know very well that at some point there are some discussions, there are some obstacles that we need to face, and we need to be ready and aware about what the shipyard is going to react to these challenges. So that's also very important, and it is coming part of the process and part of the discussion with a new client. And I have to say that also that I've seen a big improvement in the last decade. So this is also part, is not only the product. And I agree with Tim. The quality has become quite spectacular in the last years, especially after COVID. And I've seen a lot of yards that were little rising up and selling very big numbers. So why? Because the quality, because the service, because the presence on the market. I think it's all related, It's not only just, it's a beautiful yacht. Of course, well, we have a lot of beautiful yachts in the industry, but we need to have also a beautiful team and a beautiful background behind.
Rob, what's your thoughts about Turkey? You've got...
I fully agree. I think you well said. It's no, we're talking big and small, and indeed, with contributing to what you just said, you make yourself, if you make yourself as a small yard bigger, and if a big yard smaller, the intimacy you reach by giving the right service, keeping the right context, and we all, I think, have to advocate that to clients, that we are a small industry, we see each other maybe every month, everywhere, But we also should translate it to clients, you know, that we're a reliable and motivated professional group of people who can bring what the client wants. And I think that's 100% that if you provide the right service, if you do it together, then you will survive.
From your AML's point of view, how worried are you guys about yards like Tim's coming up and challenging?
We are in Turkey as well. Huh? So, no, we are. Yes, we are. I'm not joking, but we are. As Damen family philosophy has always been to go outside and see where new opportunities are. You know, Mr. Damen has done it with the Turks in China, Vietnam, Cuba. We have a shipyard. So that's on the commercial side. On the yachting side, also the philosophy was we don't know what prices will do in Western Europe. There's always a client for a Western European product and the pedigree of AML's. But there are also clients who say, well, I want to pay a little bit less. Quality is good. So, you know, just be simple. There are different clients with different needs. And that's why we started off in Antalya, Damen Yachting, where we're building a yacht supports and sea explorers. And this is the result is good. It's not an easy road, you know, if you start a new shipyard. But Damen has done it for 50 years. Just go abroad, start, take the time, put the effort in, put the money in, be patient, and slowly get to a level of quality where you can compete with others. And it has happened on the tugs. We're surviving in commercial shipbuilding because we build our tugs in Vietnam, and we build a good product after many years. Same story for us. We have a long-term plan at Damen Yachting for explorers and yacht supports in Antalya. And we've delivered the first boats, and we will continue doing so, you know. Under a different brand, you pay less, and maybe the quality is not on the level maybe we reached in all these years in Holland, but you know, it will develop itself over time. So that's what the client might want to choose from.
Talking of clients, Sam, you speak to owners and you're out there in the market. What are you telling them about the pros and cons of choosing, you know, one yard versus another, or the smaller yard versus the big Northern European yard?
I mean, every owner is different, so there's not a one-size-fits-all. Otherwise, you know, one shipyard would get all the business. I mean, at Moravia, we're working with quite a few up-and-coming shipyards. There's one in the UK, one in the Netherlands, one in Italy, and one in Turkey. They have their pros and cons. I mean, the shipyard business, it's a very tricky business. I'd never get into it. Your margins are so tight. You're 2 big mistakes away from bankruptcy. You're 4 medium mistakes away from bankruptcy. You know, I make 2 medium mistakes before breakfast most days. It's a very tough business to be in. But going for these newer yards, I mean, generally the ones which are kind of you know, greenfield sites that are brand new, fresh shipyards, they've got quite rich but passionate owners behind them. And I'm not seeing anyone go to the bank to get a business loan to start a shipyard, to start building super yachts. That doesn't really happen. But we are seeing some other commercial yards that build commercial tonnage dabble in the yachting market. So really, as an owner, it really depends what you're after. If you need build finance, it's quite tricky to get those at the lesser-known yards or the up-and-coming yards. But if you want an innovative product, perhaps, especially in the explorer sector, you need something more rugged. These commercial yards that are building military vessels or offshore vessels, the engineering is fantastic, and you can always subcontract out the interior to an experienced company. So yeah, I think in answer to your question, yeah, it depends what the client's after. There are pros and cons for each.
Tim, how do you, as a sort of a startup yard, I know you're not a startup, but how do you kind of choose your USP? How do you decide what niche you're going to take?
Yeah, it's going to be different for every yard, but you certainly want to choose something you could deliver on, which is important. I mean, when Dunya started, it started, like I say, with a very passionate owner who wanted to build fully custom yachts. You know, Dunya was never trying to be the biggest shipyard there and going into lines and semi-production and things. So we really chose to be high-end, top quality, and very customized. And the passion was there, and the ability was there. And you've got to, whatever you choose, you've got to be able to back it. And so, the first thing that we did at Dunya when we transferred from Ursa to Dunya was to build the facilities. You've got to make sure everything's there, the facilities there, like you guys are saying, the team's there. So I think everyone chooses differently, but I think you've got to make sure you can actually deliver on that and don't just choose a USP to, smoke and mirrors. It's got to be something you can back up, otherwise you'll be dismissed very quickly from the industry.
How much does it help with you guys with that boat? You've got King Benji, you've got an owner who's quite keen on the publicity side of it. How much does that kind of give you a boost? Yeah,
it's great and somewhat unique. I mean, everyone who builds yachts hopes that the owners will allow you to showcase it, because so many don't. And as a small yard, you really, really want those clients, because you're already struggling to put the word out there. So if you can't show the boat, it's even more difficult. But with that owner, that's all he wants to do. He's put it in every show that he possibly can. And so it's done great things for his boat, and especially for the charter prospects. But also the flow-on effect to us is that everyone's getting on to see our boat, and it's improving the Dunya brand, absolutely.
Yeah, I just on the back of that, I think it's incredibly important for these new yards to build something, have something tangible at the boat shows. Some of my colleagues have signed agreements with these shipyards, and all they've really got is some nice renderings and lines on paper. The amount of inquiries they get for those versus the inquiries that we get when there's actually a product in a boat show, they get very few. So I think the sooner you can get anything in a boat show, get people familiar with the brand, the better.
Ellie, you've got some thoughts on brand awareness and brand sort of building in terms of these yards. Talk to us about how important that is to kind of build this notion that this is a respectable yard that people want to pay attention to.
Yes, it's very important, and actually I was thinking right now while Sam was giving his thoughts, is that today, again, we're not selling anymore the product, we're selling the experience. And that's why also all the Explorer category has come up very, very widely, because the new generational shift, the millennials, we are people that you only live once, and you look at the boat, you look at the product, not like, okay, I'm gonna just lie in Porto-Cervo, having lunch on the aft deck, people looking at me from the dock. It's, I want this boat because I want to experience something. I want to go in the Med, I want to go to Galapagos, I want to go to Norway, and because today our clients are not buying anymore only the product, they are buying the experience. And this is where, for me, it's very important message that a shipyard needs to convey as well. It's, we build well, we got quality, you got a great service, but actually we are building something that is going to deliver you the experience. So that's probably what is very important to the brand awareness. And there are some brands that, as I said, they are small, but they came out very widely because they were selling this kind of experience. And as Tim said, you have these kind of owners that they say, hey, build me my dream because I want to experience life in a different way, just than lying on the sun deck and sunbathing. Obviously, we have clients like that, but most of the new clients of the market is really buying the experience. So it's a 360 degrees to live from sketching the boat until the delivery.
Sam, is that something you would agree with? What are you hearing, in terms of what people are after these days?
Yeah, I mean, the Med is filling up. It's if not, it's full. With the new anchoring restrictions in France, and the marinas getting full up. We got some boats coming down for the Palma show in a few weeks' time. 24-meter yacht. We can't find berthing anywhere in Mallorca for this thing. We're thinking it might have to stay at anchor for the days before the show, and this is in April. I mean, it's ridiculous. The Med is full. Everyone's drunk their rosé on the back of their yacht in Saint-Tropez, done that. The world's a lot bigger than the Med, so we're seeing a lot more new entrants to the market wanting to go exploring, wanting to have the capabilities of going further afield. Whether they do or not, that's a different question. But it's like someone driving, buying the new Defender and driving around Knightsbridge. It's nice to have the option. They can get a bit of mud on the wheels if they want to.
Just on the kind of the smaller yards notion, how does it affect resale when it sort of a few years down the line? How do we, Sam? I'll put this one back to you. I know you just spoke, but how does it affect resale if you've bought a yacht from a smaller yard?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, at the moment, let's say I get an inquiry from a client. I've got their requirements, their specifications. I'll see what's on the market. I'll naturally put forward the yachts from yards that I recognise and I'm familiar with. If there's a shipyard that's only built 1 or 2 yachts and the yacht's 10 years old, I'll look at it and maybe I'll put it on my list, but I've got to really do my research into that. So yeah, resale value is a consideration. And also, if there's any finance involved as well, they're going to be particularly stringent on you and particularly mean about what they're going to give you if you've got a boat that probably won't sell too well or there's low liquidity.
Yes, I agree with Sam. I think that it's important to look at the product, but obviously if a yard has only a couple of units, they need to build up reputation. And I mean, it's up to us after showing the quality into the resale, but it is obviously that there is a hit into the depreciation of the boat. That's not negligible in some aspects. After there are boats that were completely built custom, and they are very nice boats that have been cruising for the last 30 years. But obviously, it's an unknown yard that built that beautiful boat and now has gone busted. So I think it's really, really important to keep also the brand quality and renown in time for having a better resale.
Rob, you probably got some views on that, being from Amels. And
Yes, I agree. No, I think it helped. Also in the philosophy, as I said, which Mr. Damen copied from commercial ships to yachts, is that when I started off in 2004 with Amels, he said we were building custom boats in Macum, and he said, well, listen, it was not so financially not so successful, let's put it like that. So he said, maybe I'll stop financing billionaires, maybe I'll earn some money myself. So he said, we'll make a business plan, we make a 50, 60, 70 meter series, we wrote it down in 10 pages, and actually I just started then, and I thought, so we started off with 2 hulls of 50 meters, which I thought, well, oops, who's going to buy 2 50 meters of the same exterior? And we sold 25. So he was right. And then we stopped and we went from Tim to Aspen 6, 7 years ago. And Mr. Damen said, well, why don't you sell another 25 of the old one? But we thought it was time to move, let's say, in time. So we had a great successful time with Tim on the 50 meters, on the 60 meters, on the 70 meters. And now we're doing the same with Aspen. And our philosophy is we will do the design, we will pre-engineer for a year so we know what we're building. We take the time, we do it in a certain pace, we get the repeat effects, we get a cost reduction, so we get to have a good price quality. And then you will see in the second-hand market that it comes back to you. And that's a strict philosophy, although we do a few customs as well. We do yacht supports, we do sea explorers, but on the Amel side, I think it was a great success. Sometimes markets goes up, sometimes market goes down. But if you stick to your guns and you execute your quality as you had it in mind, and as was said, is that about the experience? You know, it's sometimes also easier with a product technical platform, to provide the right experience. Because every time. And maybe we have chosen not to go that way. There are few yards who do really the one-offs, who are trained and skilled to do that every time. We're more trained and skilled to do it the way we do it. And then you also know what you get for a resale price approx when you buy the product, when you buy it new.
Tim, just last one to you. I mean, I don't know if you've got enough units out there to really kind of know about resale, or you're not even interested in resale because you've done your bit. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's still something that comes our way, absolutely. And we're a smaller yard with less that go out there. Thankfully, we've got the likes of Axioma, which is still in the market, still chartering extremely well. And we have the strength of that, which we use. But absolutely, and it's a question that comes to me, you know, okay, let's look at your yards first, for an example, an Italian yard that's got a stronger brand and that's got, has put more units out. And it's absolutely a discussion that we have to have with brokers and clients alike. But again, we are strengthened by the whole Turkish industry in general, doing a lot better. And also just in terms of our partnerships. You know, we're working with the top designers, the top naval architects. You know, the boat we've got at the moment, it's Northern European outfitting. Pinmar's doing the paint. And so you're bringing in all these brands as well that sit alongside you, and that helps that profile too. But you really do need something also in the industry to show that you've done, and having Axioma in our bigger refits and reconstructions help, because it's a discussion that we're always having. Especially when comparing Turkish yards to Italian yards. But like I said, thankfully, Turkey's now in that position where our brand is strong, and people can see what we've delivered, who we're partnering with, and so it's less of a talking point now than it was. But no, absolutely, it still is.
Okay, let's open it up to the audience. If anyone's got any questions, by all means, put your hands up. We'll get a microphone around. Oscar, are you able to get the Slido questions on this screen so I can see them? I can't read them from over there.
I can read out the questions if you like. We can swap roles for a second.
Let's do that, Sam.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you've got them. You've got them.
Okay, let's choose one here. We'll take the top one. Is the quality of the build not dependent on the quality of the build team representing the owner? Who would like to kick off with that question?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it, absolutely. It's what we want as a builder, as a shipyard, is an owner to come with a great team. So absolutely, it's part of it. They've got to work well alongside our team, and it goes smoother from us. If we've got a great owners team and we're getting quick responses from them throughout the build process, and it's something that we would absolutely recommend, and it's something that we check when a new client comes to us. All right, what team do you have surrounding you? Because it's a smoother process, not just on quality, on everything. And like these guys are saying, you need to have a really good team at your shipyard, and absolutely, we will always encourage an owner coming to us with a good team as well. The whole process is better, and absolutely, it helps the quality of the end product as well.
Anyone else want to chip in on that, Rob?
I think it's part of it. You know, you have your own starting off. You have your own responsibility to make it a good experience, of course. So you have to have a plan. You have to make a good planning. You have to provide the quality you want to provide yourself. And of course, if you have a build team which is cooperating or sometimes not cooperating, and if they have a good point, they have a good point. So you have to listen. So that's the way to run the show, I think, together, you know, and also admit if you're on the wrong side, and from this owner side as well, you know, just to have a proper, healthy communication. Sometimes not easy, but if you strive for it and you have the right mentality from top to bottom within your organization, I think that's very important. Also on the work floor, people should be respected, and the other way around. You know, I always say, if you really disagree, just speak out, whoever it is. If you think and have the discussion. Because that's then you keep the work ethics on the work floor also good, because people do the job, not us. People do the job, they build the boat. So if they build the boat with the owners team, you have the right relationship. I think that's part of the success.
Ellie, any thoughts on that one?
Yes, I think that it's a combination of the hard skills and the soft skills between the shipyard team and the owner team. And at the moment, we've been experiencing quite something on a project, and we have a fantastic, fabulous team, because you have to absorb a lot of shocks, and it's not very easy. You are in talks with the yard. You have the owner that wants the boat, you know, delivered, and you need to have competent, serious people that can balance their hard skills, so their knowledge, their expertise, with the soft skills of the human being that are just, you know, trying to make adult discussions and not just a kids or cat fight. So it's absolutely an impact on the quality of the build, because a good owner's team can really affect the quality of the build, together with the yard, obviously.
Perfect. Let's have another question here. Next one, got four thumbs up. Let's go for that one. Do you think the tariffs war between Europe and the USA will affect you? Tim, probably coming your way, that one.
Yeah, I mean, not where my expertise will lie, but yes, we're watching it and what's going to happen there, and absolutely there's something that we need to be aware of and monitor for sure.
Sam, any tariff chat?
There's a lot of uncertainty going around at the moment, from not just month to month, but day to day. I do wonder, and perhaps this is a question for for our legal colleagues in the room, about what happens if tariffs get slapped on the components needed for a yacht, and you need to order it from a foreign country. Is that force majeure? Is that going to be accounted for? Who picks up the extra cost? I don't know. I'll be interested to find out, because it could enormously increase the price of a build unexpectedly. So, I think the bottom line is there's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm sure this will affect us in ways that we don't quite know yet.
Rob, what are the discussions you guys at Damen are having on this issue?
Well, not a lot, just seeing it coming. But the question is, what do you do with it? You know, it's not very common in yachting to put clauses in where you can adjust your pricing, you know, I dare to say. In commercial, maybe it is. On some items like steel, etc., it's more and more common, because you have maybe a larger part of the price being in steel or whatever. Well, we've seen it already before the tariffs war, that prices went up. So it's already an issue. You know, it's already. We see it in worldwide. We see it. We have our Antalya facilities. You see it specifically in Turkey happening. So we have to deal with that, and clients are not happy with it. You know, so it will affect maybe the market. On the other side, it's happening in all the shipyards. So it will make it maybe more difficult for all of us. However, it's the same for everyone. You know, so. The only thing you can do is try to make a good product, try to be a good shipyard, try to have a good relationship with your clients, and do the best you can. And at the same time, prices will go up, and you have to explain it. But on the other hand, these people have their own businesses as well. You know, they will be affected by themselves. So it's an easy chat if they think it's only happening with us, because you can put the ball back in their court and say, okay, what are you experiencing? So
smart. Another question. Well, this one's got 6 thumbs up. Let's try that. So in comparison, what's the difference in price per GT for a 50-meter yacht if it were built in Turkey or Italy?
I'd just like to jump in before we start giving numbers about what's higher, what's lower. The price you pay to get the yacht out of the shipyard is one number, but really you should be looking at the overall total cost of ownership after having built the yacht, got it out of the shipyard, and gone through the warranty period, and then fix everything that needs fixing, or save money where you haven't had to do that, because there is a price differential. And so you think, yeah, great, I can get a yacht for X% cheaper in Turkey. You do have to counter in the fact that there will be, not necessarily, but likely, a bit more aftercare needed, a bit more, in the first special survey, there might be a bit more work. And so really, it's only after 5 years can you make a true comparison. So I'd just like to, preempt our numbers with that statement.
Now give us some numbers then.
It depends.
I think realistically, it's certainly around that mark. The Turkish prices are knocking on the door, if not at the Italian prices now. And it depends where you sit in that. And again, you can't really compare. Are you talking about a semi-custom Italian versus a fully custom Turkish? And so there's different things to compare there. But absolutely, the Turkish our prices are getting closer to the Italians. But on our side, we're a fully custom yard, high quality, high makers list, And I think it's absolutely justified to be there in terms of what you're getting.
Ellie?
As we all know, Turkey in the past was known for having quite a cheaper price per GT, and there was quite a difference. Everything has changed during COVID, and together with the evolution of the quality and the inflation also. So yeah, today, to answer the question, the difference in price per GT is very close between Italian and Turkish yachts. Obviously, as Sam said, depends on the project, depends on what you're talking about, but let's say that taking a semi-custom comparable build, 50 meters, then today, yes, we have a very close difference, but also we had a massive increase in quality from the Turkish side. So they are challenging the Italians.
No one's actually given any numbers here. I'll stick my neck out and give some numbers. So let's assume a 499 gross ton yacht, steel aluminium. In Turkey, you could probably get it for, depending on options, etc., around the 30 million mark. You could go slightly below if it was more basic yacht. If you tick all the boxes and you want all the stabilizers and Starlink, etc., it'd be a bit more. In Italy, it's going to be a bit higher. So Northern Europe, they're now kissing the 100,000 euros a gross ton mark. So Northern Europe would be around 50 million on Turkey. And then the Italians would be somewhere in the middle. I mean, not every yard in Italy is the same. There's a lot of regional variety there as well. But if someone wants a very rough rule of thumb, we're looking at, for a 50-meter yacht, 30 million euros in Turkey, 40 million in Italy, 50 million in Northern Europe.
Great numbers, love it. Got there in the end. We've got 5 more minutes. Let's do this one. It's been mentioned that new build prices are increasing and second-hand prices decreasing. Will that gap close, and which will move first? Probably one, maybe Ellie, one for you, do you think?
Yeah, new build prices are increasing because obviously the shipyard is bearing a lot of costs, and these costs have increased proportionally in time. So obviously we see this kind of increase. What's happening is that the second-hand boats obviously saw the business, and some of the owners that put premium brands second-hand for sale, they said, okay, we can probably ask for a little more because there was the market for that. But nowadays, buyers, it's a buyer's market again, and buyers are saying, well, the same boat was costing quite less a few years ago, so can we adjust that? And there is where we see that the second-hand prices are adjusting because obviously clients want to sell and buyers want to buy at a reasonable price. So yes, the gap closes, probably not, but the second-hand is definitely the one starting the move.
Rob, any thoughts on that one quickly?
No, I agree, and we see sometimes the mechanism as you describe is totally right, and which is maybe good for us selling a new build, that the let's say they're not being paid for the second-hand, the high premium second-hand prices which clients expect because the new builds are so high. So if for us it's important to sell new boats, of course, first instance. So yeah, for us it would be good if people decide to go for new build instead of paying the premium for a second-hand. And that's, I think, what we try to do is to build on spec to also compete in delivery time, not only in pricing, but also that you have something quickly available so you compete with second-hand.
Sam, quick line on that as a broker, and then we'll try and do one more.
I mean, I think this is an example of the market being so mixed. Someone says, how's the market? Well, it's hot in one sense, it's cold in the other sense. Yeah, the new build prices are increasing, which should naturally bring up the prices of second-hand yachts. If I'm looking at buying a second-hand yacht, if you look at the alternative of buying a new build that's really expensive, you're naturally going to expect to pay more for a second-hand yacht. One thing that buyers hate doing is making other rich people more rich. So everyone knows that a few years ago, you could have bought a yacht. You know, I was looking for a client. He had a budget of about 10 million a few years ago, and that was going to get us quite a nice 10-year-old 40-meter, 45-meter yacht. Now that 10 million isn't going to get him anywhere near that. So I think people just hate the idea that someone could have made money, made a capital gain off their yacht, and so people just can't bring themselves to pay these high second-hand prices.
Perfect. Have we got time for one more quick one? How far out are delivery slots? Tim, is that something you could quickly answer?
I mean, yeah, for us personally, we're about to bring to market an 88-meter that will be delivered in end of 2017, and then we've got a spot available at the moment as well. But it's one thing, I guess, in terms of Turkey, we have somewhat over the Italians, and we've got more availability to build boats. You know, the Italians are really booked up at the moment, and it's currently a strength of Turkey.
Rob, quick thought on that one?
Yes, we are still we can still deliver this year even. You know, it's for more. I think the market slowed down a little, so we also had we sold 6 or 7 of the 60 meters. We had to resell 3 due to the Russian situation, so we sold 10. So we lagged a little bit behind. We just sold hull number 7 for this spring. But I, as I said, I hope, and I can feel it right now. On the 80s, we've seen it selling in 40 months, I think 4 of them, which was great, not expected. So sometimes it helps you when you build on speculation to sell. If the market is slower, of course, well, then you have to deal with maybe delaying your production a little. But to compete with the second hands is always good to have a very quick delivery date and get, well, people to the table who want to cruise in 1 or 2 years' time.
Beautiful. Okay, we are at the end of the session. That's been fascinating. Thank you very much to all the panelists. Thanks so much for your time and insight. Cheers.